Make sure that back door's closed. That'll make a difference. We're ready.
All right. Ready? Okay. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, to our our July Bronzeville Neighborhood Association's meeting, and we want to welcome all those who are viewing and those who are here. I know it's a nice day outside. People want to be out there. The rain is off and on, but that's the summer. That's how it is. So again, welcome everyone here, and just to give some information so I don't forget at the end, we will also remind you that we will not have a meeting in August. That's our off month, but we'll come back and have our meeting in September. So all the best to all those who are traveling and visiting family. We'll see you back again in September. Okay. 2 points for the President's report. One, the Henderson House, which was slated to be demoed by OSU and replaced in that location of Dodds Hall from OSU main campus. And it was discussed, and it came to a conclusion with OSU and the community that the house will remain, and OSU is looking for alternative sites here and at other places in the city for the Dodds Hall. But they definitely will be moving Dodds Hall from the main campus when they find the right location. We think that our location is okay because it has access to the freeway, but the Henderson House will remain intact, and we are working out in a committee to refurbish and repurpose the house to be an asset, a greater asset to the community. We are very proud of the Henderson House because it is the house that Rutherford B. Hayes lived in and owned. It was part of a 60-acre plot that he also, his family, farmed. And then that later on became the Henderson House when the first African-American attorney in Ohio purchased it and then lived in it, raised his family, and then they also turned it into an entrepreneur adventure of a bed and breakfast. So now we are looking to maintain it and upgrade it and then repurpose it to serve the Bronzeville community better than what it has been in the past. So that's with the Henderson House, and we'll be keeping you updated on how that's going along. And if any other concern, feel free to contact the Bronzeville Neighborhood Association. Bronzeville Neighborhood Association. The other, where there's good, there's disappointment. We will not have our jazz concerts at our Bronzeville Community Park because we didn't get the city to put the electric in, and they said they were going to get to that 11 months ago, and as of today, it's not in. So we will have to reschedule that. We don't know when, but we definitely need the electric so that the bands can tap into the electric source. They said that, well, we can use a generator, but because it's a small park, a generator make a lot of noise and upset the sound that you, and the ambiance of the park and the function. So we just wait and communicate with the city to see when they're going to put our electric in. So we already, this is now 12 months, so we will see what happens in the next 12 months for our jazz. And at that point, I will then turn it over to our Vice President, Mr. Dana Masoner.
Oh, good afternoon, everybody. And for the July Vice President's report, we have much development happening in the neighborhood. And like President Brown said, the Henderson House is another example of we in the neighborhood saving, promoting, and determining the development of our historic assets. We've had several of those, and that is the latest one that with community input, much community passion, we were able to change the course of its destiny. It was to be removed, demolished. Now, several of those buildings that we have saved or been involved in the process are the Lincoln Theater, which 20 years ago was a shell. The roof was gone. There were pieces of it left in the inside. Many of you have been there, you've seen that. Another one is the Adelphi complex, but the Adelphi front from the historic Adelphi Savings and Loan Company, that building front was another one destined to be demolished in a pile of rubble. We saved that, they reinstalled it, and then we've had the Teresa building, and we have the Edna building on Long Street, which the city, working with the land bank, the county land bank, is in process now of cleaning that out and reusing that. So those are several of the successes. And again, the Henderson House is a major event to have that happen, because it was the president's house and it's in our neighborhood, and to have OSU supporting the development of that in a future project and having our input would be part of the process, and it will be determined what that will be used for. That's still in discussion, but the building is to be saved on site where it is now, which is very significant. So then we move forward to some other major development things. There's two big development issues in this neighborhood that we have been talking about for a very long time. And of course, the hospital development is one of them. And I'll go right back to that real quick. And another one is the Lincoln Theater, and directly across from the Lincoln Theater site, that development. For 20 years we've been discussing this. And we've been saying that the theater directly across, the space directly across from the Lincoln Theater needs to be a multi-use spot. Parking provided, either on the building, in the building, under the building, around the building, somehow included with storefronts and with residential above. And we've been saying that because the Kappa theaters that we have in central downtown, almost every one of those theaters directly across the street has a parking garage. The Southern, the Ohio Theater, the Palace, and there's several others. When you keep that in mind, what they have, and this is another Kappa owned or Kappa project that they are involved in, that's part of their portfolio, that it makes sense to have the same offering here as all the others, because this theater is heavily used. It's used the majority of the days of the year, and it's in demand. And the housing in this community is in demand. So what we've been promoting is now very viable, and the city is, again, looking at this very seriously about developing this type of project. Then we go to the hospital. This is another thing that we've been talking about for a very long time. The Hospital East, OSU, was one of the centerpiece discussions of the PAC process over 10 years ago. And the PACT is Partners Achieving Community Transformation, which involved the city, OSU, and Columbus Metropolitan Housing Authority. And OSU is the one involved with the city when they had the initial agreement that with developments up at OSU with the Wexner, there was going to be monies available to do things in the neighborhood, and OSU East would make a larger footprint in the community and be involved in various things that are going on in addition to wellness for the community. So here we are today, many years later, and OSU is now talking about bringing down, removing the Circle building, the tower, and redoing the hospital. So we are saying this is an opportunity for OSU to do the right thing for the neighborhood. Now, we go to the examples of hospitals in Central Ohio. All these hospitals in Central Ohio that I'm going to give you the names of are right on the freeway. They have a freeway on and off ramp. You have OSU Wexner, you have Mount Carmel down in Grove City, just completed. You have Mount Carmel East over there, Broad Street, 270. You have Ohio Health Riverside at 315, and you have another Ohio Health up in Dublin. What do they all have in common? They're right at the freeway. OSU Hospital East is not on the freeway. And that has been a major problem, a major roadblock, a major concern for the community. Because to get from 670 through Taylor with an emergency vehicle is a major event. If there's another accident, traffic, construction, they can't do it. And also it makes a bottleneck in the neighborhood. So we in the Bronzeville Neighborhood Association, and neighborhood for some time, talking amongst ourselves, have said OSU Hospital East needs to be at Taylor and 670, where CarePoint East is. And since with the Henderson House, Dodds Hall, all the hospital complex up at OSU is being reconsidered, because with the new Wexner, monster addition besides the huge new Wexner that's being used, when they have all that up and running, much of the hospital existing building is going to be removed. So all the cards are on the table. So when we know that, this is an opportunity to do us right in this neighborhood and do a hospital complex that's comparable to all the ones that I just mentioned. So CarePoint East may have to be relocated. It could be relocated where the hospital is now, because there's no need for emergency vehicle access to CarePoint East. The building should be flipped. So when you do that, they own all that land. They own all the land around the Henderson and adjacent going up 670, coming up Taylor. There's a vast amount of land. So we're asking it to be seriously considered, reevaluated, and let's do a project that makes the neighborhood competitive with all the other hospitals. And when we do that, that makes development for those of us that live in the neighborhood. That helps our situation with Taylor and Mount Vernon. That is a major bottleneck, and it's going to be a major issue if the hospital doesn't reconsider what it wants to do with the main hospital. So those are two things that we've been talking about, which are major developments in the Bronzeville community. Across from the Lincoln Theater with the parking residential complex and the hospital. So it's exciting. Not too many neighborhoods get this opportunity to have two major things like this take place, which will have repercussions for the whole neighborhood in all directions, and those on the other side, outside of the neighborhood also. Mm-hmm. So we'll keep you up on all the new things that happen. And also we have a picture of the Ogden. This is the latest elevation of the Ogden, which is at Long and Garfield and Talmadge, and it's directly across from the Adelphi. And we'll pass that around so people can see what that is. And it's under construction. It's another wonderful project that took many years to bring about, and it's adding a lot of additional value and people to the neighborhood.
And the big thing about with the Ogden is that we work to get the Creole Kitchen. There'll be the featured restaurant in there in the Ogden when it opens. And it also, this building is significant in its design because it sets the tone for the neighborhood. The parking for this building is underground, under the building, like you see downtown. It's saying when you're coming in the urban, you can't have the old antiquated, stretched out parking. You know, you come into urban, you gotta build tight. You have to build on top. And this building sends that message that no longer, if you're coming in Bronzeville, you have a big project like this, and parking is the issue, this is what you have to do, because someone else is doing that, making it very compatible. So OSU, that was an issue with their situation there. Now they can see if a developer can come in and do that, then they have the resources and the know-how to do the same. This sprawling parking is not the best way to go. Yes.
Question.
Uh-huh.
So if Creo's Kitchen is gonna move from the plaza to the new location, that's, if I'm not mistaken, that's besides the post office, one of the only functioning businesses over there. So then, would that be now some type of like dry area that,
What,
then if you take the restaurant from there and there's nothing else over there besides the post office, then you'll just get an influx of like homelessness and.
well, what Creo, I have to speak with him, did, but in the beginning, he was thinking of, he's doing that, but he may keep the carryout, because he started out with just the carryout restaurant right there. And he serves the community very well with the carryout. This would be his sit-down restaurant, so he may have both. And that's what he's working out now with numbers and all and labor, of course. But he doesn't want to give up the carryout, which is right there with the plaza. So if he moves, then we're just creating the ambiance for the sit-down. So he wants to do that. He's just working out the numbers to do so. Yeah, I'll let people know later what happens with that. And one other thing that I forgot to mention, that we received news from the city that the Mount Vernon facelift, it will happen next year, 2024. They're going to be going down Mount Vernon from St. Clair to Champion, and then from Champion to Taylor. And there'll be 2 phases when that takes place. And I spoke with one of the representatives of the city, and they said that's confirmed. They're seeking additional funds, and it's really going to be nice. They have bike lanes, crossing paths, things to slow the traffic down. And also they're sending, there's a part on Mount Vernon where the sidewalk meets the street. They'll be considering that. They sent some people out to assess that, and they'll be giving us the result of what they're going to do, because the curb needs to be raised 4 inches, and right now it's flush with the street and the sidewalk. So as a result of that, people park up on the sidewalk. So we're trying to get them to fix that when they bring this landscaping and refacing of Mount Vernon. So it will no longer look like the Mount Vernon that you see today, and it'll be a real step forward. It's going to be nice. They had several interactions with the community in the different designs, and what people didn't like, they didn't include. Things that people liked, they included. So it's going to be a collage of different features that will make the road really unique, because it's not the same width all the way from St. Clair to Taylor. It narrows, so you have to adjust the landscaping and process. So we're looking forward to that, because Mount Vernon needs that.
And they're considering 2 roundabouts, one at St. Clair and Mount Vernon, and one at Champion and Mount Vernon. And we have a lot of roundabouts in Hilliard, Dublin, up in that direction, but not too many in the center city. So this will be interesting. And the nice thing about roundabouts is that it allows traffic to keep moving. You don't have traffic stopping. So you don't have the opportunity with people going through stop signs. Well, you still have to stop, on a roundabout. But it's made so you stop if you need to stop. So, which works well in the situation that we have. And the other thing is, with the improvements on Mount Vernon, it will give impetus to the owners of Mount Vernon Plaza to upgrade, improve, and meet at least halfway what's happening in the rest of the neighborhood. Because as we know, with the tower over there and its current situation in Mount Vernon Plaza complex, and with the storefronts there, they're in need of serious reconsideration. And the problem continues to be people new to the neighborhood don't feel comfortable there. Many people in the neighborhood don't feel comfortable there. So it's a vast black hole. I mean, there's just things aren't happening there that could. we need to reconsider that. The city's aware of that. So when you have these major improvements like Mount Vernon Plaza, it kind of pushes things in that direction.
Yes.
So just so I'm clear, Mount Vernon Plaza is privately owned, how the towers is privately?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. They're privately owned, and
There's a lot of acreage there.
yeah. So we don't. It's a messy situation. So we are trying to get the owners to upgrade or do something, but they keep promising, but and every year it looks the same. So we I think this next year with the new streetscaping thing is going to force them to upgrade or do something else with it.
See, all around, we have projects on Taylor, which in Taylor's improving. OSU's reconsidering everything. You have Bronzeville Apartments on Taylor. Then you have improvements on Long, you have improvements toward the freeway, you have then on Mount Vernon and 670. So in the very center of the neighborhood is the area, the acreage that is in most need of serious reconsideration right now. Everything else is moving in the right direction.
Right. Okay.
Is Mount Vernon Plaza owned locally or?
No.
No.
No, they're out of town, and that this is another example of out of town ownership, like with the Twin Towers. So that's a real issue, and so I guess that's going to be tightened up somewhat as well. And to bring you up to speed on the Latitude 25 towers, they're still in bankruptcy court. And they are trying very hard to keep it because they were paying their premium. So there's an insurance check waiting for the owners or whoever takes onto it to renovate it or do something. So they don't want to lose it and lose that insurance check that's there. They don't care about the people being moved out. Even though the city is putting pressure on them, they have to reimburse the city. There's a lot of stuff going on legally that they are dealing with. The city, even though it's aft is a pound of cure instead of an ounce of prevention, the city is really pushing them to be accountable, and that is by paying and by reimbursing them for the money they put out. So they are working to do that, but it's still in bankruptcy court, as what we've heard. So when that's released and they finally determine that, we, as the Bronzeville Neighborhood Association, have already put our bid in to be at the table for its future development. One thing that to say that the building is structurally very sound. It was a well-built building. It's just the mechanics inside. It has 400 units, which is a lot of units for air, and it's really perfect for what we need now to be renovated to accommodate housing. So the building needs to stay. It just needs to be refitted with new mechanics and maybe open up a one-bedroom into a two-bedroom or vice versa. And those are things that they can do. But it's a well-built as far as the structure of the building. So we are at the Civic Association. We are already at the table with the Director of Development, and we'll be at the table when they make a decision as to what is going to happen with that building. And what we really want is local ownership of this, or people who are accountable to redevelop it. So that's where we are today with that building.
Did they ever, I know we are happy about the building going into receivership, but what about all those people that were put out on Christmas Eve?
Right, they took care of them. They put them in, and some of them, I think, if not all of them, have permanent housing now. Yeah, in and out of the neighborhood. That's the only downside, but they have housing. If not all of them, most of them. And the city is also going to the owners to reimburse them for all the expenses that they've incurred doing this. Yeah. Okay.
So, and one thing we would like to do, like with Poindexter, when they redid Poindexter Village, is the people that are moved out to remote locations, give them an opportunity, if they're able to and wanting to come back. There was a small percentage that did at Poindexter Place, and that really does need to be one of the criteria for who goes in the new project however it's developed, because we want our people back if they want to come back.
Yeah, and that what they found with the Poindexter, which we all knew because we lived here, and those who lived here in the past, is that people move in and around the neighborhood. They may move from one street to the other street, but they're still, because family is here. So they didn't realize that. So now when they did the part, they hired a company to let people come back. But again, they didn't receive as many people as they thought they would have to come back. Because people get disoriented, they just are gone too long. And then, so we lost several people who did not return that lived at the Poindexter village.
Well, it's very difficult to be uprooted and moved somewhere, not necessarily of your choice, and then to do that same process again several years later.
Yeah.
For anybody, that's difficult, but it'll be an opportunity.
Yeah. Okay. We have our treasurer, Ms. Stephanie Myricks, to give us a report and let us know how things are standing. Okay, thank you. Yes, and the funds were supposed to be for our jazz, so now we'll see what happens if our donors are happy with the fact that they gave us money for something that did not occur. So we have to sit down and talk with them to see what they're going to do to us, thanks to the city. So we will take care of that during our break in August and see what they say about that. Okay, and now we will have a second presentation by Dave Perry, and the development that was going at 425 Taylor Avenue, 325 Taylor Avenue, and we have his partner or the owner, we have Paul Ross here as well to share with you some of the modifications. And just to preference this a little bit, they're going to share what happened with this situation, and they are also going to NEAC on Thursday, and we are going to look and see what they say, and then we will have to support them or not support them. But we seen something. I think you'll be very pleased with what they have done. So we'll show you that. The floor is all yours, Paul and Dave.
Anybody like copies of the revised evaluation?
Yeah.
Can they see them on the camera?
And on the camera, you can show it so you can get it on the camera. Okay.
That's what I emailed you.
Oh, yeah. This is a nice copy.
yeah.
All right.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody.
You can just hold it up.
This is a development project at 325 Taylor Avenue by Paul Ross. Paul is the owner and will be the builder. It's proposed to be an 8-unit apartment building, 325 Taylor, just a short distance south of Mount Vernon. And the request when Willis and I first started talking is that the architect looked at a couple things with the building, and those requests specifically were to put a gable roof on the 2 3-story components. It's 3-story on 2 ends and 2-story in the middle. To put a gable roof on the 3-story component, and porches on those 3-story areas also. So Paul and the architect have worked on accomplishing that, and what I just passed out is a set of 5 different renderings of the building and what they're proposed to look like now. So this will be a variance application that will go to Columbus City Council in September. Will be heard by NEAC next Thursday, July 13th, for the NEAC vote. Following this discussion and vote, anyway, the commitment is to go forward with these revised building rendering with the gable roof and the porches.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
The building between the two gable roofs, is that rooftop going to be usable for the people that live there for whatever, like rooftop garden or
That's-
meeting space or something? Is that usable space?
The middle there is gonna be air conditioners, and then behind the two 3-story sections are gonna be patios. So the two ends will have usable space. Yes, and then the middle, that'll be where all the air conditioners are located.
So this is to hide, the parapet wall will hide the air conditioning
Yes,
units?
yes.
Okay, great. Okay.
Originally, yeah, we were gonna do solar panels on the flat roofs, but with the peaks, getting the gables added,
Right.
those are out, but yeah.
The fifth page of this set gives you a little aerial perspective of the building, showing you the roof and highlights the porches and so on.
Yeah, they won't be visible from the street.
And, just a quick question for parking, I'm guessing from what I see here, it'll be parking in the back
Yes.
of the units? And how many units?
8 units, 10 bedrooms, and 10 parking spaces.
Yeah.
And the color of the facade, the front, what color are you using them?
It's charcoal. I feel like he went back to a black color for the corrugated metal, and then the middle, it'll be like a masonry. It'll be like a 3-color blend, like white and 2 shades of gray.
But
So
the two towers would be like a bronze or a brown or
it'll be more of a charcoal.
charcoal?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the inside will be a lighter
Yep.
to
Yeah.
lighten it up. Okay.
And then like the little kind of these areas, those will be like hardy plank with it's like a paint that's
Okay.
oxidizes like a copper, so
Right.
it'll give it kind of the effect of like the
Patina
art
on it.
museum
Right.
on Broad Street.
Okay.
Yep.
And then these roof on the, if you look on the porches, are they gonna be like hip roof attached, or are they gonna be flat?
The porches, they'll be flat. They
Uh-huh.
won't be covered. You mean on the front porches?
Yeah, the front part.
It's got a little hip.
A little hip, okay.
A little hip
The
to it,
hip
yeah.
makes, the hip roof.
Maybe a 3, a
Right.
2 or 3 slope on there. Yeah.
Yeah, that gives it height to it, and it blends in with what we have in the area, the hip up to the porch roof, looking with a 3-sided hip is
Yeah.
good.
Now, one thing I don't see is the rear elevation. And on the rear, what's the condition when you come out the back door? Is there gonna be some type of covered opening?
There is. There's
Back
two.
porch
There's
or something?
two primary walkways, and it has a little porch, and then there's it kind of goes into a common area, steps, so you can go up to the 2nd floor units, and then the 1st floor units are right when you come in.
One thing I would recommend before you go to the nearest area commission is to have a rear elevation, so they can see how the parking relates to the back of the building and also where the covered openings are.
Yeah.
We've had some residential development in the last 20 years in the neighborhood where people did not get a cover over their back door. And there's nothing worse than coming out of the back door when you're going west and having that rain or wind come right at you. So some type of cover when you come out of that back door. And if it could be, something similar to your
Front porch,
that'd be real nice, but some type of cover. And if you could please do something so the area commission can see that on Thursday, that'd be nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've included those in previous renderings, but the main focus was the front, so that's, I think, was the oversight there.
And also lighting in that back area too.
Yeah.
Show that.
Yes.
You had something, Dave?
Oh, just the parking is in the rear, and Paul has a landscaped area and 2 landings for 2 separate entrances to the building. So you have the parking lot, some landscaping, 2 or 3 steps up, 2 landings, and then into the building. And I guess we can
Okay.
talk
Yeah.
about getting
And
some
you
kind
can-
of cover over it.
Right, and then you can, when you do that, just send that to us too.
Yeah, sure.
But have it for the
Yep.
commission. And, any other questions?
I just have a few questions. So, he said like
Yeah, any access, it'd be in the, off the alley, so it'll just have a fence out front, and, you know, that'll contain everything, but we'll keep it clean.
And that brings up a good point, because we had discussions with New City
Yes.
that's doing development there on Monroe with 4 houses. And we had a nice discussion, so if there's mud in the street, which happens because of construction, when trucks have to go up in there, and we say, please, if you could clean it later in the day or within a day, and try to keep that clean. And so we have a working relationship where if we see something, we make contact with them and then they take care of it. Same thing with Metropolitan on Long Street. So that'd be nice, you know, if we could have some kind of, whoever your contractor is.
Okay.
And I know they'll keep an eye on it, but just in case they miss it, if they get a phone call and everybody's just, okay, we'll take care of it, that would be nice. Because there's nothing worse than having mud on the street for 4 or 5 days.
And I was
Yeah,
gonna say the company that's doing the Bronzeville apartments over there on Taylor, they've done a really good job, even though they blocked the street off. They've done a great job with keeping it clean. 'Cause like you said, with New City, I remember they were getting a lot of calls that they were leaving stuff all out in the street on sidewalks. I was just curious for when you all, you know, once you get to go, how, and I mean, it's more traffic over there than because of the 2 hospitals, definitely in the morning time, because you have people going towards the freeway.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you can, and that's something that we can have that number of that, or that person,
Yeah.
whoever's their
Yeah,
construction
that'll be
manager,
me.
that we can
Yeah.
call, if anything, if we get a call,
Yeah.
then we can call and have it taken
Yeah,
care of.
absolutely.
Okay.
Let me add on the lighting, the city code requires lighting of parking lots.
Okay.
So it's typically not specified on a zoning drawing, but the construction drawings that the architect will prepare will show the lighting.
Right.
But it's parking lot lighting is required for the city code.
Okay.
And then I'm sure at the 2 entrance doors, you would have some type of wall mounted light or something, yeah.
Okay.
We're just trying to, because me and Mr. Brown and Dana, with the lighting in this area has just been difficult.
Yeah.
So trying to get lights for old buildings and also lights for, like you said, new buildings and how there was homes that came with no porches. So now it's like, well, we want it just to be done right, that way there's no, you know, call or we're back at the city because, oh, it's completely dark over here or, you know, so, but I appreciate that.
Lighting is good in parking lots for everybody.
Okay.
Right, and then, also, in the alley, when you come down your alley too, we're asking for additional lighting in the alley, which doesn't require you to do, but also, we're putting the bug in the air to echo that too.
Requested.
We're asking the developers as well
Yeah.
to also echo, you know, we're gonna do our part, but can you add additional lighting for the alleys and whatnot? And we're working with them too. They said they are going to, but the more they hear it from everyone, that lighting is paramount in our area, in any urban area.
Yeah.
It changes
There-
the landscape.
Does the city have streetlights in the alley now?
Yeah, they have some,
There's some.
but they need to be upgraded.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they have some. I think where y'all at is not, they have a few because of, the other development that was there. I think they did some lighting
Okay.
addition, but that's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the front elevation
Yeah.
feels compatible with what's on the street and the surrounding houses. And again, we in the Bronzeville community are not asking for people to do historically precise, accurate reproductions of what we have, but to kind of show the same kind of roof pitches or massing or double hung windows, porches. Those are the critical things. When you build new, it's going to be new. It looks new materials and colors. Okay, that's fine, but just make it so it is welcome with what you already have. And this feels good. Comfortable.
And now, they said the middle section is gonna be hardy plank or,
It's gonna be, CMU, so it's like a big brick.
oh, okay, yeah, I wasn't sure if it was gonna have siding, vinyl siding or not, but this is.
So it'll have masonry, and then it'll have like a little accent on each of the sides too.
Okay.
With
So
the
you see
masonry.
joints like a block wall.
Yes.
Right, okay,
Exactly.
Good.
And then that foundation, once it gets to grade, it'll be the same, yeah.
okay. Do we have any other comments from the audience or? And, So we are very much in favor of the project. As far as taking a vote, we can do so. So if there are not any additional question to it, can we just take a vote of all those in favor for this project going forward? Just raise your hand and we just take a 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So here's, right. So all in favor, say aye. Aye, very good. Now-
Two others over here.
And 2 others here, very good. And the reason why we were doing that, what this shows here, and I have to thank, even though it's painful for the developer, but NEAC gets a real applause because they said, no, table it and go to the civic. And look what we got out of the process, something really doable. And that's what we're not here to stop. We just want to push the development just a little bit to the edge, to say, okay, let's do something better. Now, when you look at this, it says, yeah, that's super fantastic. So that's what we want to do. We thank NEAC for standing up, and we took the ball and said, okay, they put it back to us, and we put it to you, and now we got something that we all are happy with. So Thursday, myself and or Dana will be at NEAC, because they're going to ask for our support or our comments, and we want to show how development should go forward. If it isn't right, send it back and work together. We always said we want appropriate, sustainable development, not just development. So this is why we're very proud of the workingness that we had and what they delivered. It's setting a stage. Yeah. All right.
Now, the company, that's gonna be building, I think like 13, 18 units, the old Dunbar,
Uh-huh.
are those gonna be residential or is that a commercial?
No, residential there. That's gonna be, and we'll get to them when they get themselves. They're working on their stuff. But yeah, that's residential.
Okay, so
So-
they'll be coming with the.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And we have. No, he said that they're working on that. Yeah, and where we are now is that we're getting residential on top of the retail, or residential where we can. So and people say, oh, what about market rate? What about this? Right now, Bronzeville is 1 square mile, and we want a little bit of everything here. We have Section 8, we have market rate, we have workforce development, we have affordable. We need a little bit of everything for everyone to be a part of something great here. So yeah, and we also tried, the developers that are doing big projects, I think they put more than what's required as far as affordable in some of their development. So we want to keep the pressure on that we need to build for everyone and that want to be here and want to stay here and come in here. Yes.
That is my question for Mr. Perry. Will you all be including, any subsidized living there, or would it be market?
It's market rate, yeah, market, yep.
And we, like I said, we have a little bit of everything. You know, we need that. And I just want to put out that we have to put an emphasis on us doing due diligence with the city. What we're saying when we have development is that we want those people who are here to be able to remain and not be taxed out. That's something we have to work with the county and with the, for a special tax break, or, something like that. We have something in form called the heritage thing that you can get your taxes frozen for fixed income. That's one thing. The other thing we have to work with the city is to have a pot of funds that if a senior has an issue with the house needed painted, that we can go to that pot and say, okay, we're going to paint Mrs. Jones' house because she can't afford. She's paying all the other things, but she's on a fixed income, and we need to have that in place so that we keep those here and let them enjoy this revitalization of the neighborhood, and then have things that where people are coming in, they can also share that. And as of now, all the new development that has come into Bronzeville has not displaced anyone. It was on vacant lots. But that's not going to always be the case. So we don't want that to be an issue with us where we're moving people out. If you're here, you should be able to afford to stay here. But we have to do our part to get the city and other resources to keep people here. Because the issue here, we can deal with the taxes is, okay, but I'm getting coded to